Yeah, it just went live on Twitter.
Yep.
Lord, let me turn my volume down.
I believe we are live. We're live.
Let's do it.
How about that? Well, give it a second. Wait for some folks to come in.
Pull it up so I can hang in the chat. All right. That was a horrible throw.
Yeah.
I mean,
It wasn't good.
McCall thought Concepcion was about 12 feet tall. Looking splendid on ACC Network, dude. Good Lord. Also, can we talk about how Minnesota has the best stands in college football?
Yeah,
it's just obnoxious in your face. Just in the words of Joe Biden, Minnesota. Let's see here.
Well, sorry for the social media shit if anybody's in here.
Do we want to get cracking?
I guess we can get cracking.
I think I'm the only one watching on YouTube. I don't know how many we got on Twitter, but we'll find out. Showtime.
Welcome to the Down East Sports Network College Football Show. I am Jacob Miller. This is Paul Phillips. We are getting ready to talk all things college football, all things week 1. Got a little NC State, Western Carolina on right now.
Not going well.
Yeah, Western Carolina up 7-0. Waiting on Colorado and North Dakota State to start. But we'll talk about a little events of last week. My God, does Florida State suck?
Yeah, I was quite wrong in my prediction last week. Well, to be fair, we were both big on Georgia Tech in that game.
Yeah.
And Florida State still, I mean, they're on the outside looking in. They still could contend for the ACC, but it's a long road ahead of them. They dug themselves a hole. Yeah, they have to go basically. They don't necessarily have to go 11-1.
Yeah, they got to go 10-2, and they're going to need some help. They need Georgia Tech to have a good year.
They got to go 7-1 in conference play. They can't lose another conference game, or else this season's a wash. And we're questioning the validity of Mike Norvell and his coaching. But
you've already seen the one note that I wrote down that DJ sucks. But this isn't all on DJ because the offensive line looked like a JV team.
They stunk.
This D line that everyone, at least Florida State-wise, was raving about just got chewed up in the run game. And Georgia Tech's time of possession ended up being the biggest factor.
They just didn't look like quite simply, they did not look like they cared as much as Georgia Tech did, which is I typically don't like when people say that about any given game, and no matter the sport. But there was a clear difference in just effort. You could see it. Florida State was there thinking that they owned Ireland and
doing jigs before the game,
trying to also own social media while they were there, and they got their clicks, they got social media, but good Lord, they didn't look like a football team. No. They at least didn't look like a football team that had been practicing together all summer.
Definitely not one that you would see ranked.
Oh dear heavens! Sorry.
Yeah, did Florida State opt out of this game too? I mean,
honestly, it is not much of a test, I don't think, for them this coming weekend down in Tallahassee. They get Boston College at home, who is just going to be one of the worst teams in the ACC. I don't think they're going to be quite the worst team because Stanford exists.
What is it, Castellanos? Costellos? What is it? What?
I think it is Castellanos.
Something like that.
I can't remember. That's how much I care about Boston College. And that's how much I believe in them also. It's Boston College. Every so often they'll have a decent year where they might win 8 games. They're typically going to go 7 or 6 wins in that.
Yeah.
In those decent years, because ever since Matt Ryan, basically. But they're still I think going to potentially cause some issues for this Florida State team unless they have a huge turnaround just internally this week leading up to that game. They need to look themselves in the mirror and figure out what's going on. But I mean, we were both on Georgia Tech.
Yeah, we were both all over that.
Florida State should still be like I had Florida State in my ACC championship game losing to Virginia Tech. I don't think they'll get there at this point.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be there. I know
that schedule. I mean, they have plenty of teams on that schedule that, from what I've seen in one game, are just simply better than that team is.
Yeah, well, bring up the team that I had playing in the ACC title game that also didn't look very great.
Golly,
I might have been right about Florida State, but SMU definitely scared me week 0.
They're terrible.
Late game heroics from Stone and from this beast of a man called RJ Maryland.
Yeah.
I'm really intrigued on why they didn't run the ball more, as Smith had 11 carries for 67 yards.
Yeah, that.
You think you would have ran the ball a little bit more. And
they
North
tried
Dakota State gets a huge play on the first play of the game.
Let's go!
Because Deion Sanders can't coach.
Let's go. We'll get to that. We'll get to this game in a second. This game, but also one of the teams playing in this game.
Yeah.
But this SMU team, I just simply don't think is that good. I mean, we saw last year when Oklahoma State lost to South Alabama in their first game of the season. Whatever, that's fine. This was a road game for SMU. First game in their brand new conference. Whatever, that's fine. But they just looked completely out of sorts on both sides of the ball against a team that most people, including myself, think are going to be very easily planted in the bottom half of the Mountain West.
Oh, yeah.
And really not competing for a whole lot this year, in my opinion. But, I mean, it
was definitely a team they should have handled.
Yeah, 100%. And they went out there and almost laid an egg.
I think it was almost a 30-point spread.
Yeah, it was something big like that. And I took the over in that game.
Yeah.
And I only missed it by 2 or 3 points. But, I thought SMU was going to at least come close to hitting that on their own. And then they go out there, they can't score 30 points against Nevada.
Yeah, it's definitely worrisome. I don't even know who they have this week, or if they play.
Who, SMU?
Week. Yeah.
They definitely do. Let me pull that up. I was in the process of doing that, and then we started.
See if I can beat you to it. But no,
probably so.
Definitely 2 teams we were bullish on that didn't really perform up to expectation.
No.
The only difference between the 2, at least from my perspective, is that I have a little more faith in SMU performing better as they got Houston Christian. I think they'll be okay.
Yeah. That's a $4 ticket in Dallas, Texas. if you're looking to go see some college football this weekend.
But there were things I saw out of SMU that leave me hopeful. Stone's play in the second half was phenomenal. RJ Maryland is an absolute freak. If they can utilize those players a little bit more and find some kind of discipline.
Yeah, that was their biggest problem.
Unsportsmanlike conducts. The amount of third down penalties, that long third down automatic. I mean, they had 2 pass interferences on a 3rd and 20 and a 3rd and 25.
Yeah.
So apparently somebody spit on somebody.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I still don't think I've seen video evidence of that.
There's no, because it's on CBS Sports. There was 3 camera angles.
Well, I had the game on. I had money on it. I parlayed the over in that game with the Georgia Tech cover. There's a touchdown for the Wolfpack. KC Concepcion.
Yep.
We're in the end zone. hopefully, as long as the extra point goes well, we will no longer be losing to Western Carolina.
North Dakota State. But
Yeah, you got to come away with 6 there, but we'll take 3 on the road. We'll take 3 opening drive of the season. But you talk about the discipline and just the stupid penalties that they just kept accumulating throughout that game. I don't even, in my opinion, that's not even down to the players. That's a Rhett Lashley problem.
Yeah,
that starts at the top, and they got to figure something out to monitor that and just, like tame that before Houston Christian. This is a good game to get all the rest of those out.
Tune up,
and then it's go time after it. It shouldn't have been go time last week, but it turned out to be. So
yeah.
I don't know. I like SMU. I was never big on them being necessarily a title favorite in the ACC. They definitely still could be, but I think they're definitely a long shot for that. I thought that going into this season, I think they're going to be a good team, but I don't think year one jumping into the Power Four that you're just going to come in and compete for a conference like that. People like to talk down on the ACC. That's fine. ACC, potentially the most top to bottom competitive power conference in college football this year. It's either that or the Big 12, I would say. You look very top to very bottom all the way through. It's probably the Big 12.
I think you got 8 bowl teams in the SEC this year.
Yeah, but I don't know how many. I probably 8. Yeah, because that's only half the conference. I just don't think that there's enough wins to go around for the SEC.
The Big 10, the bottom of the Big 10 is awful.
Yeah, it's stinky. I mean, the ACC is too. Like Stanford's going to be terrible.
Outside of Mississippi State, Vandy, and Arkansas, I'm trying to. I think I'm forgetting. I see teams over 500.
See, but the thing is, like I was saying, there's not enough wins. I don't think to go around for everybody. You know, right. So every game's gonna be tough in the SEC like it is every year. I'm just saying the ACC. People think it's some pushover league. It is not at all. And we hopefully, I mean, State's not really proving that right now. Just tied it up with Western, but I mean, there's a lot of ACC teams that I'm high on this year that last year were barely scraping by to make a bowl game. Yeah. And I just think it's not going to be the best teams in the country all the way through, but from just the ratio top to bottom, every game's going to be competitive.
We got some big week 1 matchups, and well, I guess we'll go ahead and jump in, do our top 12s.
That'll work.
You and I have a little different of a top 12, or we'll say our consensus there at the end.
Yeah.
We have the exact same top 5, which I don't think is much a shock to anyone that watches college football.
Yeah, these are in my opinion,
kind of clear 5 best. In this order.
I think these are the clear 5 best teams in college football. It's just a matter of where you want to put them. One of them definitely gets the benefit of the doubt from their schedule, but
yeah,
and that's my number 5 team.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about there. I'm with you. I think, looking long term with them, they got a favorable schedule. But
yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Yeah. If we want to go ahead and run through this, I got it all pulled up. 1 through 5, we have it exactly the same. Starting at 1, Georgia. Just simple as that.
Yeah.
Number 2, Ohio State, and number 3, Oregon. You could really order those two really however you want to. I think they're obviously not the same team, but from kind of a standpoint of how I feel about them now and how I think I'm going to feel about them at the end of the season, I'm going to feel probably exactly the same about both of them. I think they're very interchangeable. We got Texas at 4, which is easily a national title contender, assuming that health issues don't cause this team problems. And then Ole Miss at 5, which is definitely benefiting from an easy schedule. But at the same time, I still think they're one of the 5 best teams in the country. This team's going to score about 90 points a game.
Holy crap, North Dakota State can't tackle.
No.
They've had them. They just can't tackle.
FBS offense with an FCS defense.
6 is where we start to differ, although we just kind of flip-flop 6 and 7. At 6, I had Alabama.
And 6, I had Penn State. I like the Nittany Lions this year.
7, I had Penn State.
Yep, and I had Alabama.
So, I mean, we're both right there. I like Penn State, but we'll get to talking about them, I think, a couple of times.
Yep.
Their matchup this week is Colorado makes it 7-3.
Travis Hunter.
Yep. Best player in the country.
Without
you heard
question.
it here first.
I
That's an
agree.
opinion only you and I have.
Exactly. This is what you come to Down East Sports for, is opinions like that.
Hard-hitting analysis.
Exactly. This guy, that's the best player in the country. We're going to tell you he's the best player in the country. You best believe that.
Who'd you have at 8?
At 8, I had the Utes. I had Utah.
Right, so.
I like Utah in the Big 12 this year. I think they're probably they're odds-on favorite. They're the betting favorite. I think it's about an 8-horse race in that conference, it seems like. But also, if you look at it just plain and simple, at the top, I think it's a 2-horse race between them and Kansas State. So, but as far as just how I feel about them right now, I like Utah. I have Kansas State winning the Big 12, but I have them.
I do as well.
I think we both have the two of them playing in the conference championship game. So it's just a matter of how that game on a one-off goes, So
at 8, I had Notre Dame for no reason other than I really hope they lose week 1 so I can immediately take them out and not have to worry about them again the rest of the season.
There you go. Yeah, I got a little started a little more a little earlier.
I might just put someone I want to lose.
The hateful 8.
Yep.
Yeah, I got started with them a little early on that train, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, 9 I had Utah, so I'm right there with you. Even though I have Kansas State winning the conference, Utah, as long as Cam Rising stays healthy, should be a factor in the college football playoff conversation all year long.
Yep, and we had I kind of went in depth a little bit about Utah last week, but I just think that we saw what they were last year, and I feel like just they're set up for immediate success at the start of the season and like into the first few conference games that Kansas State is, just because I think that like obviously it starts at the quarterback position where they're not losing their guy. Cam Rising's back for his 18th year, and Kansas State's starting fresh at quarterback after they lost Will Howard to Ohio State. So that's immediately to start the season. I just feel better about Utah when it comes to a Big 12 standpoint. At 9, I went off the board compared to my predictions last week. I don't necessarily think this team – I think they definitely have a very good chance. They're probably the best team in the ACC. I don't think they're going to be playing for an ACC championship. But I like the Clemson Tigers at 9 here, squeaking into the top 10.
Just like flip-flop all of ours. Am I starting to realize that?
We did for a lot of – I mean, our next one, number 10, is the same. Yeah. We'll go ahead and get to it. It's Missouri. I'll let you. Oh no!
Good Lord!
About to be 14-7 Western Carolina.
Western Carolina.
All right. Well, here comes 10, the over.
10. I had Mizzou.
Yep, we got Missouri.
Somewhat of a favorable schedule.
Definitely.
I do think they might take a step back, but to me, just at the start of the season, I think they're going to be towards the top of the playoff rank, or not top of the playoff rankings, but be in the top 10, in the top 12.
Yeah. They're going to be in that projected playoff when that starts to roll around.
Until we start to see other teams kind of take foot.
Yeah.
Because I think the Big Ten at least gets 3.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Because they'll get the 2 teams that play in the conference championship
from the SEC.
Plus another at-large.
Yeah, and maybe 2 or 3 from the ACC. I'm
curious
on how this shakes out later in the year, but I think Mizzou's just a safe pick there at 10 for right now.
I agree. They lose a lot from last year, but they also return the 2 most important pieces of that team at quarterback and especially receiver with Luther Burden, who's another quite possibly one of the top 5 player in the country.
Yeah.
He's a game breaker when you can get the ball to him. So, and it's really not hard to get the ball to him. You just got to kind of throw it in his zip code and he'll figure out a way 99% of the time to go find it. But as long as that offense can stay as lethal as I think that they definitely could be, then I feel like they might hover just around that 10 line. They might move up. They might move down a little bit. They'll lose a game somewhere. But I think just throughout the season, honestly, they almost – 10 feels like a spot that was kind of made for Mizzou.
Yeah, I just see them hanging around 10 to 12 all year long.
Yeah.
11, my pick to win the ACC. This is – not going to be indicative probably of their performance this weekend, hopefully. And but I think they'll end the season strong. I have them. I think I picked them over whatever their win total was. I think it was 10.5 or 10.
That sounds right. It sounds at least close to right.
Is the Clemson Tigers.
Yeah.
I just think Clemson's going to be decent this year. They got a lot coming back. I think they'll be higher in the rankings as we move along, maybe come week 6 or 7. But
I definitely think so.
Clemson 11.
I feel like that aside from this Georgia game, I feel like the early part of their schedule kind of favors them a little bit.
Yes.
Which most of their schedule favors them. But it depends on if Dabo can finally put these pieces together like he's been struggling to do the last couple of years. And even still, his struggling is still better than the vast majority of teams in the country. They're just Clemson, and they're not going undefeated always, so they get a harsher deal when it comes to the rankings.
Yeah.
Is at least how it kind of seems a lot of the time the last couple of years. But I guess we move to 12 now. I'm gonna go first. I'll let you talk about.
Yeah, I'm regretting who I have at 12 right now.
It's the first week, but we'll get there because I'm gonna want to speak on that too. Number 12, I got the Vols. I think Tennessee could be if Nico can get this offense really, really firing early and kind of getting his groove settled down to start the season, that'll kind of determine how the season goes for Tennessee. But I mean, obviously he was the prospect that he was for a reason.
Yeah.
He's got plenty of help on the offensive side of the ball there, especially if you think about who his coach is and how he's just an extreme offensive minded kind of guy. And Josh Heupel. I don't see why Tennessee can't at least stick around this position sort of in the rankings and at least put themselves in the conversation, make the committee think about them when it comes to selection time. But even right now, I feel really good about this team to start with. And that might drastically change after Saturday, but I like Tennessee to get on a kind of a hot start here.
Dude, there's two, Tennessee obviously being one of them, but two schools that I'm really curious about watching this year with freshman quarterbacks. I'm really curious to watch Nico, and even though he chose a school different than Georgia, I'm really curious to see what Dylan Raiola does in Nebraska.
They're going to be fun.
I'm really looking forward to watching Nebraska.
I think it's going to be
not something I thought I'd ever say.
Yeah, it's going to be some proper football. I think they're going to be awesome.
12. I'm really wishing I would have put Tennessee right now. I'd had NC State. This is
which is honestly, I can't look at it like that because I'm not.
Yeah,
I was
in
biased.
between three teams, and it was SMU, NC State, and Tennessee. I really 12 spot. I might have a theme there too, where it's just going to be a team I think a little higher of.
Yeah,
that maybe not get a shed of the limelight.
Yep.
So yeah, NC State, which just looks god awful right now.
Yeah, like woeful.
But consensus. Top 12 from us, and we'll do this all season long. Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Oregon 3, Texas 4, Ole Miss 5, Alabama and Penn State at 6.5, Utah 8.5, Notre Dame 9.5, Missouri and Clemson at 10, leaving Tennessee right there in the 12 spot. Yeah. I'm sure that'll change. We need to get.
Oh, that'll change drastically after this weekend. Yeah. I can guarantee you. But
I got 3 teams in here, I think, that I have picks against losing.
Yeah. And we got other teams kind of just on the outside looking in, just like teams that we consider, but just didn't make it in. Like, even after this horrible showing that they put out there, Florida State is still one of those teams that I'm going to have to see it again from them to really make a concrete opinion about how I view this season for Florida State. And then LSU, who neither of us are very high on, at least from a betting circumstance when it comes to their win total specifically. But I think they're going to be fine. They're just not going to be anything special. Yeah. But right now,
I mean, we're going to see how good of a player Miller Moss is.
Yeah,
because USC is a team that could hop into this conversation.
Definitely. So I mentioned that last week when we were going over the Big Ten. I'm sneaky high on USC. I think they could be really good this year. And I got Arizona and Louisville as 2 other sneaky teams, which we didn't have Kansas State in here, which Kansas State is obviously.
Yeah, they'll be.
But we didn't write them down. But
yeah, there's a lot of teams hovering right outside this. Like might be a lot of shakeup.
My ACC champion's not even here, Virginia Tech. So
I'm curious. Well, Yeah, we'll get to there. I'm very curious about how they play Saturday, but
Yeah, it's an interesting test for them. It's a quirky one.
I mean, college football is back. We'll jump right into some. I got 10 matchups for us here. We'll go ahead and start off with the one that's on TV right now. We got Colorado 11.5-point favorites right as I checked here at the end, hosting North Dakota State Bison. 7-3 right now, almost out of the first quarter. You know my opinion. I can't stand Colorado, and I kind of think North Dakota State's going to give them the business here. It's going to be a tight game, but
touchdown NC State.
Nice.
Moving on.
But I got North Dakota State here.
Oh, I kind of sort of thought about taking them just full blown money line. I took them plus the points. I got them at 9.5. I feel like that's as they find their way into the end zone right here, for a chance to go up 3. This Colorado just program as a whole is so, it's like, you know exactly what they are, but they're so confusing at the same time. Just it's always something different on a week-to-week basis. That, I mean, Deion Sanders is not at all putting exactly a shining light on this program when it comes to just him with the media representing his school and like that.
And I know a lot of people love him, and don't get me wrong, I love Deion the player.
I love Deion, the studio guy.
Yeah.
Like the analyst Deion is great.
The antics have gotten a little sick for me, but
yeah.
They, at the skill positions, have athletes all over the field. It's the defensive front and the offensive line.
Yeah.
I just don't trust it, and they're playing tougher competition this year.
Yeah.
I don't see them being that good. I took the team total under 5.5. And if this game goes how we think it's going to go, I think that's indicative of their season.
I think so too. I mean, this team, they could figure out a way to gel. It might take some, not tragic. I can't speak tragic in that sense, but like tragic football wise, just like some horrible loss like this one would be in that conversation. But something like that to like get this team kind of together and on the same page, which they just didn't really seem like they were at all last year.
Yeah.
So if they can like early in the season figure out a way to just be a cohesive unit as a team, I think that'll carry them further than both of us think that they'll go.
Yeah.
I could very well easily see this team just for the second year in a row just being the island of misfit toys, where it's just there's too many cooks in the kitchen. There's too many different personalities that are just overriding each other and just being conflicting. And I'm just there's too much up in the air that I want to stay away from the good about Colorado, it seems like.
Well, to go from that to probably the top matchup of the week. Georgia-Clemson. Georgia 13.5-point favorites in Atlanta. Not a place that my dogs play very well sometimes.
No. Shout out Boise State.
I know the last time they played there, they won in heroic fashion at midnight.
Yep.
I had a fun question for you.
No, they did. They didn't lose that game in heroic fashion.
What is the last team non-conferences beating the University of Georgia?
Non-conference.
It's in the ACC.
I'm gonna have to say it's Clemson. Is it not Clemson?
It's Georgia Tech.
Oh,
Kirby
yeah.
Smart's first year, 2016. That's the last time the University of Georgia has lost
an out-of-conference
game.
That's crazy.
I would probably err on the side of take Clemson if you're looking at the spread, but if we're talking about a winner here,
it's Georgia.
Gotta pick Georgia.
It's Georgia.
I like this to be a close, low-scoring game.
I don't even know how close it'll be. I feel like this game. I feel like it could just be Georgia just out-muscles them by the end of the.
You're right.
I'm gonna let you keep going. I'm not convinced that this isn't. It's not gonna be a blowout by any means. I
didn't look at the total, but I like 30-24 was the number that popped in my head.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I could also see it being 40-24. Yeah, I feel like this game has a lot of different avenues it could go down.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, this is two of the top defensive line units in the country.
mm-hmm.
Two good offensive lines, a lot of experience for the both of them. I just see this being a dogfight.
Definitely.
It was, what was it, 3 years ago now?
Yeah.
The 10-3 game. Just electric football.
Yeah, that was 21. I was watching that in turn 4 at Darlington.
But I like the dogs here.
Yeah, I do too.
My second favorite game of the week, Penn State in Morganton, West Virginia. I know both of us are kind of bullish on Penn State.
We like West Virginia too.
God, do I like West Virginia to keep this close? I think Penn State still wins, but God, do I think it's going to be close.
I really like the cover here for West Virginia. Just playing at home in that environment.
Yeah.
Which I touched on last week. That place is going to be bananas on Saturday.
It's not an easy place to play.
It's definitely no matter whether West Virginia's 9-0 or they're like 3-6, whatever it may be. You're never going to have an easy time playing it in Morgantown. That place is one of my favorite environments in college football. I love it so much. I'm so excited for that game this weekend. Just strictly from just the pageantry of college football. If you're into that, tune in. But then again, I think it's just going to be a hard-nosed, in-your-face kind of football game with two, I think, pretty good quarterbacks. Two underrated quarterbacks. I might touch on Drew Aller here in a minute.
I know there's differing opinions about Drew. I liked what I saw from him last year.
Oh yeah, he's
not like he's anything to we're not going to talk about him as a top 10 NFL pick. But no, I think he's a good to above average college football quarterback.
Oh my God, yeah, and that's all he needs to be for that team is he just needs to be a patient and accurate quarterback, and just have his head just on his shoulders the right way, and he's going to take that team far. He gets a lot of hate, just like his coach James Franklin does, for going 10-2 every year.
Yeah, because
they lose to Michigan and Ohio State.
Which, I mean, if this playoff is built for anybody, it's built for Penn State.
Yeah,
just run to 10-2 and just be a 7 or 8 seed.
I don't think they're ever going to be one of those first round bye teams, but anywhere between 6 or 7 and 12.
Yeah,
they can fall anywhere in that non-bye kind of stage. I could see them being on a year-to-year basis. They're going to make the playoff, I think, every year. It's just a matter of where in the playoff they're going to be.
Yeah. Next, I got down here the reigning FCS champs, I believe.
I do believe so. Yeah, the Jackrabbits.
The Jackrabbits. It's a great mascot.
Roll Jacks, dude.
At Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, 10-point favorite. Last I looked, this could be a bit of a dogfight. Heard from one of the shows I listened to today. The last 4 opening weeks for Oklahoma State, Mike Gundy, he's messed around against teams like this.
Yeah.
South Alabama, I think last year.
Yeah, that was last. I mean, he had that Central Michigan game a few years ago with Cooper Rush at quarterback.
Oh my gosh. This could be a scary spot for Oklahoma State.
Definitely from a points perspective.
Yeah. I still like them to win here.
Yeah, I agree.
And like Coach Gundy said, he's going to punish Ollie Gordon for his DUI.
Yeah.
He's just going to run the hell out of him.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
They're just going to feed him the rock, and I don't know, as good as a team as South Dakota State is, I don't know if they're going to have dogs to keep up with them.
No, I don't think so either, and I don't know if they have the dogs on offense to kind of get around the dogs that Oklahoma State has on defense too. I think for a while this game will be a close, very exciting game, but there's going to be a certain couple of plays, whether it's a turnover or just a play that works out in Oklahoma State's favor that shouldn't have, and something like that. That's just going to kind of turn this game not quite on its head, but it's just going to kind of make it a little easier for them towards the end of that game.
Yeah. Another more key matchup here. We got Miami at Florida.
I love this game.
Miami 2.5-point favorite. I love this game.
You will not catch me even thinking about putting a cent on this game.
We'll get to that later.
But boy, is it going to be fun.
Love this game.
I think it's going to be awesome.
Colorado just scored a bomb on touchdown. Yeah, this is, and we talked a little bit about it last week, that as hard as Florida's schedule is, I think they might be better than people think they are. I think 6-6 is a little bit more in the realm of possibility than a lot of people think. And I think this is such a trap spot for a Miami team that I don't trust very much.
Yeah.
And I know they got Card in the transfer portal, but man, playing in the Swamps, rough. They're lucky it's at 3:30.
Oh yeah.
If this was at night, I would not want to be them.
No.
It's
It's just a tough environment for this unproven Miami team to go into and just expect to win.
A lot of new pieces.
And they're gonna. As most football teams should, they should go in expecting to win.
Oh yeah.
But if they go out there and like act like they're expecting to win, they might get run out of the swamp in a hurry, which I don't necessarily think will happen. I think it'll be a close game a lot of the way.
I think it's a close game,
but
I really like Florida.
I do too.
I really like Florida.
Let's see, what's that line at? You said 2.5?
2.5.
Yeah, that's.
We'll get to that.
It feels like a game that Florida's just gonna. They're just gonna win. They're gonna. Oh my God.
He got it back.
We're muffing punts out here. It's ridiculous, but it feels like a game that Florida's just gonna handle business in, and then get people's hopes up for kind of the season moving forward, when they're going to be a good football team.
Yeah.
They're just, their schedule is just.
Oh my. They have a gauntlet like starting week 7. I think.
Yeah. And I think it's
not good.
If they're as good as I think that they potentially could be, there's a decent amount of that schedule could be manageable. It just all comes down to coaching with that team and Billy Napier, who's a coach that I just quite simply do not trust with carrying a plate of food from the kitchen to the dining room table.
I think about the same thing about Cristobal. So
see, that's exactly he hasn't proven anything yet.
Yeah. Starting October 12th, the stretch that the Florida Gators have, actually October 5th, UCF at home, at Tennessee, Kentucky at home, Georgia and Jacksonville, at Texas, LSU at home, Ole Miss at home, and then they end the year with Florida State.
Yeah.
That is not how I would like to close my season out.
Pretty brutal. But then again, that Florida State team looks like they could be a pretty that could be a pretty manageable game on their schedule. That UCF game, I'm not necessarily too worried about because I just don't think UCF's going to be that good. I don't
trust KJ Jefferson.
I don't either.
Wasn't great at Arkansas. I don't know why we just think he's going to be Cam Newton just because he has Cam Newton's old coach.
Exactly.
I mean, it's Gus Malzahn at the end of the day. I miss him coaching at Auburn.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
I really wish he was Auburn's coach.
I bet. Now you got a guy who's even worse than him. So.
Yeah, I'll take it. Next on here, I think this is a matchup of top 25 teams. We have Notre Dame coming to Kyle Field and playing the A&M Aggies.
That is number 7 Notre Dame going down to number 20, I believe, Texas A&M.
A&M, a team we could see move into the top 12.
Definitely. I like A&M.
Kind of high on them. 3-point favorites at home. I think that's Vegas telling you they think it's a toss-up. I like A&M here. And I kind of said that earlier with that. I like A&M here. I think now that Jimbo's gone, we'll see these athletes maybe take shape. There's plenty of talent there. That's not the problem. I and I know I put them at 8, but that's my hate spot. I don't quite understand the hype around Notre Dame after what we saw from them last season.
Yeah.
And basically doing the same thing they did last year with the transfer from Wake Forest, who's Sam Hartman. Sam Hartman.
But here's the thing.
And now they got the Duke transfer.
Exactly.
They're just picking on the little North Carolina ACC.
Exactly. And Riley Leonard's a very good quarterback. I don't think he's as good as Sam Hartman was at all in college.
No.
And plus, the architect behind the offense that
was going to be my next point.
Leonard was in last year, is going to be on the opposite sideline coaching against him. So he's going to know kind of exactly what suits Riley Leonard the best, and which is a lot of what Notre Dame's probably going to have to run. And so I just feel like, just from that standpoint of coaching against your old quarterback, I feel like you have the upper hand there. Plus, with the amount of talent that this A&M team has, which Notre Dame does too. But
it being College Station doesn't help.
No, it doesn't. And we talked about unproven coaches in the Miami Florida game. What has Marcus Freeman done? Lose to Marshall?
Yeah,
he hasn't proven that he can continue or bring Notre Dame back to the success that they like having.
Yeah,
and I don't know. Notre Dame is a lot less trustworthy of a team, I think, coming into the start of this season.
I agree.
And so when you factor that in with them on the road at an extremely hostile environment, one of the biggest stadiums in the country, I think A&M is just going to be too much for them.
Yeah. Next on here, I have my favorite thing of week one, the past, 4 or 5 seasons now, the standalone LSU Sunday game.
Yeah, those are fun.
I'm a big – the FSU twice. I swear they've played on Sunday 4 years in a row now. But in Vegas playing the Trojans of USC, LSU 4.5-point favorites. We'll see what we get. I like what we saw in the bowl game from Miller Moss last year.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is where we really find out about Miller Moss.
We're going to find out what LSU has at the quarterback position.
Yep.
This game's hard to predict in my mind, just because of how new everything is. New defensive coordinator for USC. Maybe they'd be able to tackle.
That'd be awesome.
LSU's defense can't get any worse.
No, honestly, USC's can't get much worse.
I think out of the 6 guys they played in their secondary, I can't remember exactly how I heard this. 5 of them were freshmen for LSU, so it's got to get better.
You would think, exactly, just with a year under your belt.
But new quarterback. You and I were talking a little bit before the show. This team went 9-3 with a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback and soon to be football team legend.
Precisely, but they bring in Nussmeier, who's not Jay Daniels, and what did their defense do to drastically improve over the offseason from last year to this year? I don't see it with this team.
USC, similar position, losing the number 1 overall pick, new quarterback. While he looked great in bowl game, they went 7-5.
Yeah, it's a ugly game from a gambling perspective.
Yeah.
It's also a fun game from that perspective, especially and just from a college football viewing.
You almost have to bet it because it's the only game on.
Well, yeah, but I'm just between that game and the Florida Miami game, I'm staying away. I don't trust anybody.
Yeah,
but it's going to be so much fun to just sit there and watch as just a college football fan.
I think I'm going to take USC to win here.
I like that as well.
That has more to do with probably my team total bet than anything.
Yeah. Well, also you think about, it's in Vegas.
It's a little more of a home game for USC.
Exactly. Which LSU, we know how LSU travels.
I can't say it will be a home game. We see their home games.
I was about to say their home games. They don't really sell it out like that. But we know how LSU travels.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just feel like because it's not at the Coliseum, it's at a different place. It's a neutral site game against a big time program. I feel like the USC fans are really going to be up for this game. They're going to have a good environment with what they bring to Vegas. This could be a really fun game. I'm anti college football games in NFL stadiums.
Yeah,
but I feel like that aside, I feel like this is going to be a really good, especially for a standalone game on that Sunday.
Yeah,
it's going to be really good.
I can guarantee one thing in this game: there will be a bunch of drunk Cajuns in the stands.
That is without a question.
If you could take a prop bet on that,
drunk Cajuns and a bunch of passing yards is kind of what I see.
Game. Every time you see a drunk Cajun, take a drink.
We've never stopped.
Next on here, I got Boston College at FSU. We talked about this a little earlier. This is more just a game I wanted to talk about more for Florida State reasons. Florida State 16.5-point favorites. I think both of us probably think Florida State's going to win this game. By how much?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I got to pull up what what the line is here
14 or
too.
16 and a half.
16 and a half. I'm leaning towards Florida State to handle that.
You would hope they come out
surely.
with some fire underneath.
Boston College is going to stink, man.
And just kind of like we were talking about earlier, this could be a big turnaround game for them.
Yeah.
This could be a huge turnaround game for them. Losing a conference game to start the season doesn't help.
No.
But if you go out and handle Boston College easily, then
that way you've already played 2 of your conference games.
Yeah.
You won one of them. Yeah, your first game of the season happened to be a conference game across an ocean, which obviously the same exact scenario for the team that they lost to. But, I mean, it's never going to be perfect. You just got to hope it is perfect at that given moment.
Yeah.
I think that they're going to have a big day against Boston College. I think DJ is going to be able to he's going to have an easier time kind of just progressing through plays and just settling down and not being just a frantic lunatic out there, and just he'll be able to settle down, I think, more in this game. There's going to be a lot less pressure on him, I would think. And I think Florida State's going to roll in this one.
The last 2 games I have up here for the matchups of the week, I kind of had some fun with. Got VT at Vandy. 13.5 point favorites for Virginia Tech. I think Virginia Tech obviously wins because, God bless, it's Vanderbilt.
Plus, it's Virginia Tech. I mean, they look to be but it's another one of these teams with high expectations that hasn't proven anything yet.
And that's why, honestly, I put it on the list here. Is, like you just said, a lot of expectations for the Hokies. Haven't proven much. They also, I think, went 7-5 last year.
Yep. No, they went 6-6, I believe.
See, were they 500?
I think they were a 6-6 team last year. Virginia Tech was.
So I know it's Vanderbilt, but this could be a massive letdown spot.
It definitely could. I don't at all see them losing this game, like you said. But at 13.5, I feel like that's a really good line. Honestly, that's just a really good line. But it's definitely accounting for all the unprovens and just unknowns that are in this game, because honestly, with Vanderbilt, they're Vanderbilt. Yes. So they just don't get the attention and the credibility and whatnot that you'd expect an SEC team to have. We don't know at all what to expect from them. But Virginia Tech, we have all these expectations for, but are we sure that they're just going to go walk in and just live up to them? I have them as my ACC champion, but I don't. I mean, I'm watching my team with a number next to their name, tied late in the second quarter with Western Carolina. So.
Yeah, I mean, that is the one thing I think that made, at least for me, trying to make actual gambling picks this week was there really, I feel like, is 6 or 7 teams that I'm for sure on to start the year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of uncertainty.
A whole bunch.
On the back half of the top 25. I'm not as bullish on VT as you are. I think they're going to be good this year.
Yeah.
I think I have them closer to 9-3.
And 4. I'm just kind of projecting. Yeah. I could also see them having a year like they did last year where they improve but go maybe 7-5, 8-4. But I could also see them being
right where they were,
a 10+ win ball club, So big fourth down stop. Big fourth down stop from the boys.
I keep thinking back to your ACC comment. In the middle of that ACC, the SMUs, the Virginia Techs, you can maybe throw Florida State in that category now.
I think they're above that sort of middle. Yeah.
But that group of 4 teams that, at least in my opinion, are a little bit below where the perception of Miami and Clemson are right now.
Yeah.
That group of 4 is going to be interesting to keep track of as the season progresses.
They're going to be playing for a lot against each other, and there's going to be a lot of meaningful matchups between all these teams, especially even the ones like a Georgia Tech that we've already seen upset Florida State. Yeah. And I was high on Georgia Tech. You were high on Georgia Tech going into that game. I think they're going to be a bowl team this year. I think they'll go maybe 7-5 or so.
Yeah,
but they're going to be. I was just a solid team that's going to really cause some problems for some people.
They're going to be feisty.
And as much as I hate to say it, the blue team down the road, the uglier one, the lighter one, Carolina. They're not going to be very good, but they're going to cause some problems. I can promise you that. They got
probably
a
have
big,
a good running back.
quite possibly the best running back in the country. Not in my opinion, because
Yeah.
Ollie Gordon is just a
Yeah.
human that exists. But I mean, we'll
talk about defenses that can only improve.
Yeah, golly, they were terrible, which was so awesome
Gene
to watch.
Chiswick's defense was just abysmal.
It was
not
so
good.
No, it was not good. But boy, was it fun to watch from my perspective.
I think it was the Duke overtime game. I was coming back from, I want to say, Ole Miss, Georgia. Listening to it on the radio was just one of the greatest displays of radio I've ever heard.
Yeah,
because both teams just forgot how to play defense for a good 20-minute stretch.
It's awful.
It was must listen radio.
I have a feeling we're going to learn a lot about Carolina tonight, though, at Minnesota.
Yeah,
we talked about it a little bit. I like Minnesota in that game, but
start
at 9 or maybe it got moved to 9, so it's coming up soon. It's going to be down here on Monday left, I think.
All right.
But I think tonight we'll learn a lot about Carolina, at least at where their current kind of position is. I could see that team. I can't really see them getting above really like 8 wins or so.
Yeah,
I think they're just gonna kind of hover around
very
that
much
spot.
middle of the pack.
But we'll find out more than enough information tonight at Minnesota, because that's Minnesota. I'm not super high on just on a team as a whole throughout the season, but I could definitely see them being a team that like a Georgia Tech causes some problems in their conference. You know.
Last game I have on this list here, really just put on it for nothing more than the line, because I found it intriguing, because I don't think Houston's going to be very good this year.
And I think the team that they're playing this week is going to be pretty decent.
Good. They were a team we talked about in the Mountain West when we previewed them.
Mm-hmm.
UNLV at Houston. Houston 2.5-point favorites. I know it's not a big number, but Houston being the favorite here at least came to a surprise to me.
Yeah, that's just them at home. I mean, at 2.5, they're basically giving you it's a push basically.
Yeah.
Like they think it's an even spread. They're giving 3 for the home field advantage. They think they're about even teams.
I like UNLV.
I like UNLV.
I don't think Houston's going to be good.
No, I think they're not going to be the worst team in the Big 12, because that belongs to the Cincinnati Bearcats, in my opinion. But they're not going to be much better than Cincinnati, I don't think. But they actually have some pieces that can excite you.
Yeah.
UNLV they feel like they're just going to be that frisky Mountain West team this year. as North Dakota State goes up again on Colorado. This is back and forth football right now. This is exciting.
It's been a good game so far. Offside penalty kept North Dakota State in the drive, or in their drive there. Puts them on the board. Going to move on to our next weekly segment here that we're going to do. We're going to call this the Pick Six.
Let's do it.
Each of us are going to go 6 picks a week.
Yep.
We're going to track them all season long, and hopefully we're more right than wrong. I'll go ahead and lead off. A game we talked about just moments ago. I like West Virginia +8.
Yeah.
Hosting Penn State. I just think it's going to be a close game at the end of the day.
Yeah.
No point in repeating myself too much, but exactly. I like the number.
And I'll go ahead and kick it off with I have the money line Minnesota against North Carolina. UNC walks into Minneapolis as a favorite, which they may be the better team. I just don't see that happening. I don't trust Max Johnson at quarterback necessarily. I think he'll be okay, but I don't trust him to go on the road to open the season and beat a Big Ten team, no matter who it is. Just be expected to do that. No, I'm good. Give me Minnesota. Plus that line wasn't enough for me to just take the spread. I might as well just go all the way with the point or with the money line.
Next, I got a game we got on right now, which they're covering good and well at the moment. I got North Dakota State +9.5 at Colorado.
Yep.
Another game we kind of highlighted earlier, but I like the Bison here. I was almost tempted to take the money line, but they don't win this game. It's definitely going to be close at the end.
Definitely. This will be a dogfight, I think, for the vast majority of it. If not,
Has
this
been-
could be an overtime
yeah,
game.
It's been already all game, and it's getting chippy. I mean, this
Exactly.
should be a fun game.
Exactly. We got a bunch of 4 and 5 star recruits out there losing to an FCS school, and they're not going to be happy about that.
Yeah.
So, I'll go ahead and get to mine. This is a niche one. If you can find a no sweat token, the West Virginia money line.
Yeah.
I just took them all the way.
There you go.
I took a no sweat with West Virginia. I think that there's a very decent chance that they could go in, that they could just welcome in Penn State and knock them upside the head. I don't think they're going to blow them out or anything, but I definitely think they have a very real chance at winning this game. I probably like Penn State, but I feel like that's a good pick if you have a funky promo or something like that. Then I definitely look into that as a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are on both sides, or on the same side as that one.
Exactly.
You and I both like West Virginia to at least keep that game close to the end.
Definitely.
They'll
give themselves a chance, I think.
Next is a game I really wish I swapped out for JMU right about now. The more I look at this, the more it terrifies me. Oklahoma State, 9.5 point favorites against the Jackrabbits. God, that game starts to scare me more and more, but I hope Ollie Gordon just wears them down and we can get to a 10, 14-point lead late in the fourth quarter and just hang on.
Yeah. That's kind of how I see that ending up. But obviously, you get power, especially ranked power for team against an FCS team, but like a good one. You never know really what to expect.
Yeah.
So that line is just kind of just random. It kind of seems like, at least. But I could definitely see Oklahoma State just out muscling South Dakota State at the end of that game. I'm looking to find what was
I know you're on JMU.
I was about to say I'm trying to pull it up because I can't remember what that line is.
I think actually, even though I don't have it in my pick six, I think I actually took it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I found it. Right now it's at 8.5. I like James Madison minus 8.5 here. They're obviously going to take a step back from what they were last year.
Most of that team going to Indiana.
Exactly, following their coach. But I still think
a big fourth down stop by North Dakota State.
Oh my God, it is.
So I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but big fourth down stop from North Dakota State.
But yeah, Kurt Cignetti and a lot of his talent leaves for Indiana.
Yeah,
and that may be the case, but Charlotte is going to be one of the worst teams in college football this year.
Definitely one of the worst teams in the American.
They might be the worst team in the American. they're actually no, they're second worst. No one can take that spot from Temple. I'm sorry. Temple's going to be just probably 0-12. I could see them losing to an FCS school. But I like JMU minus 8.5 here. I think they win that game by at least 10, if not a couple touchdowns. You might be hanging on at the end, but I think that they'll cover 8.5. That feels right. Taking just barely over a touchdown.
Yeah. I like the James Madison pick.
Yeah.
I think they cakewalk Charlotte.
I think so
not
too.
That good. Next, I got Florida at home against Miami. Smell some home cooking.
Yeah.
Give me the Gators.
Yeah, I like it.
Give me the Gators. Shadur might be hurt.
Uh-oh. It kind of just looks like a cramp, to be honest.
But I know the schedule's tough. We just talked about the back half. I don't think the quarterback play from Mertz was awful last year. I actually think it was more on the good side. A lot of new parts in Miami, and Cristobal hasn't been that great there. Swamp's one of the hardest places to play in the country.
Yeah.
Year in and year out, the Swamp is a tough place to play. I like the Gators.
I
try
agree.
not to call them something else.
This is a fun one. Happening in what some people call T-Town this weekend. Western Kentucky is plus 31.5 at Alabama this week, with an Alabama team that loses the best DB in the country
Yep.
to Ohio State, has a brand new coach, and is starting the season facing former SEC quarterback TJ Finley, played at both LSU and Auburn, also was on that Texas State team that was really good last year. We talked about this a little bit last week, and TJ Finley specifically. But this Western Kentucky team, and their air raid offense, their beautiful air raid offense that I have not been able to figure out yet in college football 25, but that's another story. All I do is throw picks. But they got so many weapons on this team, especially I can't remember the running back's name, but they're going to be able to not only just run their air raid that they want to run, but they're going to be able to put the ball on the ground, and it's obviously them going against an Alabama defensive front, so it's not going to be easy. But I think that they can cover 31.5, especially in Alabama's first game with Kalen DeBoer. I feel like they'll be shaking off a lot of rust and cobwebs, just all these new players that are fitting into this thing that just kind of haven't. I don't know. Yeah. There's just something about 31.5 that feels good to me. I feel like
you saying that might take the first half spread on that.
That's very true. I haven't looked at the first half.
I mean, I assume it'd be right around 15, but
I would assume so.
Yeah,
let's see.
The first half spread on that might not be bad.
First half spread right now is at 17.5.
Yeah,
I like
that.
I kind of like it. Because Alabama will end up winning that game very, very handedly. It's just whether the scoreboard reflects it or not, they're going to impose their will, especially in the second half of this game. But I feel like Western Kentucky is going to go out there and cause some issues early on in that game. And I like them to at least keep it close to that 31.5. But that 17.5 first half spread feels that's mighty nice. Yeah. I didn't even think about the first half spread.
Yeah.
That's solid.
I think we talked about every game that I picked, funny enough.
Really? Did you have that? No chance.
I'm just talking about my 6 we talked about in the games of the week.
Yeah.
Next, I got A&M -3 hosting Notre Dame in Kyle Field. Man, I kind of like A&M by like 10 points, to be honest. This number could be a little higher, and I'd still think I'd lead A&M just for the reasons we were talking about earlier. I got a little more faith in Texas A&M. I know it's a new coach. He was good at Duke. I mean, I don't know why Elko can't get it done there.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to be, a national title contender. No. But I think they're definitely a team that could stake a claim as a playoff team.
Oh yeah, and when you prove yourself that you can have a good team at a school like Duke. What's stopping you with all these resources and all this talent you have at Texas A&M? Obviously, you're playing better teams, but your team itself is so much better that I have a feeling he'll just kind of fit right in and kind of continue his progress he was making at Duke and just kind of roll that right along into A&M. And I think that they're going to be at least playing themselves close to a playoff spot, putting themselves in that conversation. Next. I have fun with that. You could also potentially speak on a little bit.
Yeah. Oh God.
I have. You want to talk about an underdog cover here? The Georgia Southern Eagles are hosting Boise State this week. That line's at 12.5.
I saw that. I saw that game.
I think that game has so much potential to just be one of those games where Boise State gets kind of caught dragging their feet because they're walking into the group of 5 as a whole like they own the place. I think that could be serious danger for Boise State going into Statesboro.
Yeah, Boise State, I think we both picked to win their conference.
Yep. Yeah, we both said it was Boise State against the field in that conference.
But I'm with you, Statesboro. There's something about Statesboro, Georgia, man.
Georgia Southern just feels like a team that could.
It's definitely a trap game.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's definitely a trap game. I don't know a ton about the Eagles, but I could see where your point where Boise State could catch a little Statesboro blues and not perform that well.
Exactly. But there's just something about the feel of that matchup that just it doesn't feel right for Boise State in that game. I don't know why. I can't really explain it, but that's one of those gut picks.
Yeah. Last, I got down in Vegas. Got to take the game in Vegas. USC +4 is what I got them at.
Yep.
Versus LSU. I think Miller Moss is a guy we could be talking about late in the year as a potential guy to be in New York as a Heisman finalist.
Yep.
Lincoln Riley's good at one thing, and he's really good at it, making quarterbacks put up video game numbers.
Yep.
We know offense isn't going to be a problem for this team. LSU's defense was atrocious.
I was about to say, we know defense is going to be a problem.
I
for
like
LSU.
the over as well in this game.
Yep.
But give me USC getting 4.
Yeah, I like that pick definitely. I think they could easily get 4. I think they might win that game by double digits. I think they could definitely play themselves into just kind of cruising towards the end of that game. This is an interesting one. Just this matchup as a whole. I got another 31.5 point spread. New Mexico at Arizona. We just watched New Mexico lose to Montana State from the FCS ranks. Very good FCS team. Very good. Like multiple years in a row going very deep into the FCS playoffs. And it was a close game, but you don't really learn a whole lot from those types of games.
Yeah.
New Mexico probably going to be a little down just from losing to an FCS team. They're gonna want to come out and prove something. I just don't think that they're going to be able to. I think Ted McMillan and the rest of this Arizona offense are just going to kind of get to a point where they just kind of explode.
Yeah.
At one point in this game, and I think they just kind of balloon that lead up past
Arizona team.
31.
I know they lost a few guys with their coach leaving. That was just an awful play.
Yeah, with Jed Fish going to Washington, that was at best a lateral move in my opinion. You're just in a better conference on a worse team. But
that's my one level of concern there.
But then again, they're still just going to be so much more just overwhelmingly talented.
Yeah, I agree.
Than New Mexico is, and just it's their first game of the season. New Mexico's already played a game this season, and it wasn't a good one by any stretch of the imagination.
No, it was
so
not.
We already know, I guess, a little bit about them. We don't know anything about Arizona, but what we do know is the talent that they have on this roster, and we've seen it perform in the past. We saw it last year, and I think that this team could absolutely just put the hurting on New Mexico.
Yeah. We'll lead this into your weekly standalone segment.
All right.
No better name than Paul's Parlay.
Paul's Parlay. Welcome to it. All right. Good Lord, I got logged out. Hold on. Christ.
I know you took a lot of money lines.
I did. I also had
we'll keep track of week to week.
That'll work. I had 100% profit boost on this bet as well. But it felt like a good enough parlay to where I could justify doing that and really feel like I'm making myself some money here. So let's see. One of them's already working out right nice right now, okay? We're going to start off with a game that's currently happening. North Dakota State plus 9.5 at Colorado. With 4.5 minutes left in the first half, North Dakota State's up 20-14 on Colorado, so they're already up 6. All they need to do is lose by 9 or less. I like the position that we're in. If you're seeing this, it's a little too late. But I'm sorry. Moving on. Go ahead and make your canine noises for me.
Woof.
There you go. All right.
I didn't know where you were going with that.
All right. Georgia money line against Clemson in Atlanta. Didn't feel great about the spread in that game. Just wanted to pick a winner. That's a lot of what this parlay is, just winners. That North Dakota State is the only spread that I had. And they seem to be doing all right now. But we got Georgia money line at Mercedes-Benz against Clemson. I just think that we already spent plenty of time on that guy. Plenty of time on that game, but I just think Georgia just kind of overpowered Clemson at the end of that game. Clemson may cover, they're not winning the game. Moving on, Virginia Tech money line at Vanderbilt. Similar thing to the Georgia-Clemson game. Vanderbilt could definitely cause Virginia Tech some issues in this game, like we talked about. I just don't see a world in which Virginia Tech loses this game.
Yeah, I don't either.
Moving on from that, a little homer pick. Had to throw South Carolina in there somewhere. They got Old Dominion at home this week. They're minus like 1,600 when I took that bet. So I threw them in the parlay. Just why not? Georgia Tech's another big one at home against Georgia State. Georgia State has to go all of 1.8 miles for this game, so they're going to be hurting after that long journey. So yeah, give me Georgia Tech to win that game, especially after what we saw from them this past weekend. They look like a team that'll definitely handle Georgia State.
Yeah.
Florida State money line at home against Boston College. I think that they're going to win that game fairly easily. That's definitely a game where you could take the spread, but it was kind of a fluff pick in this parlay to kind of get a win in there. I have James Madison money line at Charlotte. This game on ESPNU, by the way, somehow I saw that today.
Really?
I couldn't believe what I was seeing. But yeah, Charlotte hosting a game on nationally televised ESPN network. Ridiculous. But I got James Madison winning that game, probably by a lot. Like I said, that 8.5, I think is a solid number to hit on. And then it kind of culminates with quite possibly the best matchup of the week that we already talked about. Notre Dame going down to Aggieland to Texas A&M. I got Texas A&M money line. I just feel like that's a game that their home environment is going to carry them a lot of the way, and I don't see a world in where they're worse coached or less talented than Notre Dame is. I think they just kind of end up kind of cruising towards the end of that game. So that in total, that's an 8-legger for you. It came out to plus 636, but we mess around with profit boost over here. That was 100% profit boost to 1273, so that's paying a good chunk of change on a small bet. So,
yeah.
So that's Paul's parlay for this week. We'll revisit it next week and see how I did, and you'll get week 2's parlay next week. But wanted to throw that out there. It's probably not going to be as big as this one was this week.
8-leg to start week 1.
Yeah, college football's back, baby. Let's go.
Just got it nice and stiff for week 1.
Oh man.
Well,
building a house.
As I think we'll end the show every week during the season when they have a game, excluding the bye weeks. I mean, after all, we are Down East Sports.
Exactly. Our colors are purple and gold.
We're going to talk a little ECU football.
You see all this red on my body. Do not get it twisted. 99% of my body is an NC State fan, but 100% of my body is an ECU fan. I'm a diehard ECU fan.
ECU 32-point favorites against Norfolk State. 0-1 loss to Florida A&M last week. 50.5 is the over-under. Very curious. New offensive coordinator. New quarterback.
Yep.
Same Raji.
Yeah, true.
Pretty much same defense. ECU quietly might have one of the best corners in the nation.
Oh, Siobhan, baby. Siobhan Rebel's going to be an All-American this year. You can book it now.
I'm high on our Pirates. I'm really curious to see what we get from Garcia this week.
Yep.
This should be nothing more than a tune-up game.
Yeah, I agree. I expect to see Caton Hauser get some PT as well, just so Pirate Nation gets to see what kind of both of them look like. I haven't heard anything about them exclusively rolling with Jake Garcia. We just know he's going to be the starter.
Yeah. There's a lot of things favoring us that I looked into Norfolk State a little bit here. They seem to be more of a run-heavy team.
Yeah, I think they'll play right into
our front seven.
Yeah.
I especially like our D-line.
Yep.
They gave up 286 yards through the air last week.
Good.
To Florida A&M.
Yeah, to FAMU.
I think you're going to see a lot of short to intermediate passes in this new Coach Baker-led offense. You're going to see ECU of old, and I really hope we're just throwing the ball all over them. I hope we're a much more entertaining team to watch this year.
Yeah.
I believe we will be.
God, we better be. We better be.
I mean, I took our win total over as Stur gets sacked. Colorado might have to punt here.
Let's go.
But yeah, I think the Pirates should handle the number with ease. I like the over here. Hopefully, this is a great start to a great season. I think we'll be in the conversation for the AAC the majority of the year.
We'll be an important player.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily think
don't
we'll contend for the conference.
Yeah, I don't
but
think we're contending either.
We will be an important team in this conference, given.
I said it last week.
Given what our schedule looks like,
8-4 looks really possible.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think our ceiling is probably. I mean, our ceiling is probably I'd say 10-2.
That's
we could go 4-8 for all we know. I don't think if so, then there's going to be a lot of turnover. In this program and a lot more down years to come. This team should fairly easily be a bowl game.
They got to start the season 2-0.
Yeah, you got to.
I mean, you gotta handle business here, and you gotta. What do we got? Old Dominion.
Old Dominion, yeah. At Old Dominion, and we don't know what Old Dominion looks like. I think they could definitely be somewhat of a problematic team.
Oh,
I don't think they're going to
last year.
Exactly. I don't think they're going to be more of a 4 or 5 win team than Old Dominion. So we should be able to go up there and handle ourselves. I mean, you saw what we did at last year. We didn't even score an offensive touchdown, and we're in that game for the vast majority of it. So, I think that's a road test that is favorable for us.
I agree.
But then again, we can't look past this week because this is where we prepare ourselves for next week. So we gotta make sure we hit our marks this week. And
this is a set the tone game.
Exactly. And I think we will. I think you're going to see a lot of different running backs. Between all the way from Rajay Harris down to TJ Engelman, all about 4 of those top guys. I think you'll see a decent amount of carries from. Some of them going to be more so in the pass offense, but I think that we'll get to see a lot of different looks in this game because we're going to be trying out some different stuff. I think we're also we're going to go out there and try to put points on the board, which is definitely what Pirate Nation's been looking for since 2022.
Yes, pretty much. Definitely some. I'm with you. I just want to see this offense fire, have some explosion.
Exactly.
Move with pace.
If you keep up with any of the stuff coming out of practice and what was coming out of camp, the main buzzword is tempo.
Yeah.
And we had 0 of that last year. We it was just runs up
faster than our offense.
It was demoralizing watching this team. But this year with John David Baker, he's coming from one of the most explosive offenses in recent college football, and that Lane Kiffin Ole Miss offense. So if he can implement some of that stuff into our offense, and it works with our personnel, I think that we're going to be really fun to watch this year. And I think that Saturday specifically, we could be very fun to watch, especially offensively.
I agree. That's about all I got on week 1. You got anything else there, bud?
I think I'm good. No one's really rolling out any fun uniforms or anything this week. I want to do that in future episodes. Talk about some uniforms because I like the threads and the helmets. But outside of that, no, I think I'm trying to think of what would be what's going to be the bestest uniform matchup of the week. Just looking at.
I'll close this out a little bit here.
Right.
Thursdays, 8 p.m. every week, you will catch us live on X or Twitter because I refuse to call it
Twitter.
X.
It's Twitter.
On Twitter and on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, I know this is the basic YouTube thing, but subscribe, do all that. We'd like to kind of try to grow a little community here. Definitely are open to comments and stuff like that. Twitter, just retweet, give us a follow. We're going to try to be more consistent on posting, not only college football, but when NBA starts, NHL, maybe a little baseball, just kind of a little bit of everything.
Yep.
Like I said, Thursdays at 8 o'clock, you'll find us here sitting on this couch, talking ball. And we'll have recurring segments every week. We did a couple of them today, the Pick Six, Paul's Parlay, and then probably go through our top 12 and pick, 10 to 15 games every week just to kind of highlight.
Yep.
So you can look forward to that every week. And as long as ECU's playing, we're going to talk about the Pirates. That's about all I got, bud.
I got USC at LSU for my uniform matchup of the week.
Yeah, you're probably right.
You're going to see USC's Reds with
Honestly,
the LSU home whites.
Their home jerseys. If they'd have worn the green versus Colorado's black, that'd have been a clean match.
Yeah, their green's dark. If they'd have gone the yellow,
or the yellow
would have been
clean.
crazy. But yeah, I got in all likelihood. I haven't looked at their if they've announced their uniforms for this weekend. But LSU, I think, is the home team technically in this game, so they should be wearing their white jerseys, gold helmets and pants, and USC should be obviously wearing their normal red helmets with the red jerseys and yellow pants.
Yeah.
So I think that'll just be kind of a classic college football uniform matchup.
A great color matchup.
Yeah, it'll be nice on the eyes.
Notre Dame's gonna wear navy.
Probably
not.
No, because A&M will wear garnet
Maroon
or whatever. Yeah,
whatever.
I guess it's maroon. Yeah. So Notre Dame will probably be wearing white.
Yeah. Gold domes.
The gold lids.
Well, yeah, definitely. We'll add that every week.
There we go.
We'll have a little We'll each do a uniform matchup.
There we go.
Um.
Also, I hate to say it, but Carolina, Minnesota is a decent one.
That is a good. It does look good. That's it for week 1. We'll catch y'all next Thursday, 8 p.m. Down East Sports on Twitter and YouTube. I'm Jacob. He's Paul. See y'all next week.
Later.
Oh, let's watch some ball.
Yeah.